Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for The Punisher, the Thomas Jane version. So, as always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off the furry, there's a dog. Dogs. Not too memorable, not very significant. Moving on. So, this movie stars Thomas Jane and John Travolta, and then a guy that you've seen in a bunch of things in the 90s, and maybe one or two other people you might recognize, but probably not. So, yeah. This was, I believe, the first Punisher movie that came to theaters. And I gotta say, when I first watched this movie, I was a little disappointed because it's very much rated R, but there are so many times where somebody is shot, blasted, just blown away in some way, where they're like, and just like flying back, and no blood, like almost no blood in any of these instances. And I remember that really bugged me because I'm like, if you're going so hard for the R rating, why not just include some blood packets for when somebody is hit along with the squibs? Or, and I think this movie was probably made long enough ago that it would have been too expensive to add CGI blood. And to be honest with you, between having no blood and having like the Expendables 2 style of terrible CGI blood, I'm glad that they went with the no blood. But I would have hoped for some more blood since you already have the R rating. That being said, I rewatched this movie, and you know what? It bothers me less now because so much of the rest of the movie is so good, and there is still a couple of parts where blood is shown. And in general, I think that they made the right choice for what they had. Now, I still think, maybe not the right choice, but I still think they would have done better with more blood, but I don't think it detracts as much as it did for me the first time I watched it, because I'm like, oh, Punisher, he's going to just fucking annihilate these guys and blah, blah, blah. Not the case. But the storyline, the acting, and the general plot and what happens in it is so engaging and so interesting and so well done that I don't mind it. And like I said, there's a bit more blood than I remember, but there's still a lot of people getting shot without, like, Rambo levels of blood. And that's fine. So this, I think that a number of the instances of the Punisher's, like, life story or, like, famous comic things, I think they kind of tried to duplicate some of those scenes. Like the boardwalk, I feel like that might have been a very well-known comic screen cover, whatever. Or maybe it's just so ingrained in his origin story. But regardless, I enjoyed it. I enjoy John Travolta as a villain. I think he does a very good job. So it's fun to see him as a villain. And Thomas Jane is just one of those guys who, he's just always a win. I love his presence and how much he can convey. Because this guy, it's not like Willy's Wonderland level of not talking, but he doesn't say a whole lot a lot of the times. And I liked that. I think that it worked for his character. And the I'm going to call them apartment mates that he finds along the way, I like them. They're a fun group. I don't know. I've never read any of the Punisher comics, or just comics in general, not my thing. But I don't know if they were in the comics or not. But the important thing to me is that when they are in the movie, they work. So every single one of them is unique and interesting and not overly stereotypical. But even in certain ways that they do stereotypical things, it's in a fun way, in a way that it endears you to the characters. And I appreciate every instance of those characters being in there, and it was a super fun time. The fights were fun, and what he did was fun. The one thing that I will say is, where and how do you think he got all those guns and all those explosives? Because it just never goes into it. There's got to, how? But at the same time, two things in response to my own question. One, who cares? Who gives a fuck? Nobody cares. The important part is he has the guns and he has the explosives and he's blowing people away and getting shit done. The other answer is that he's done a bunch of undercover FBI work, clearly taking out ATF type of firearms bad guy things too, so I'm sure he knows some people that probably have gotten either back into the lifestyle or just were smaller fish and he was going for the bigger fish on the totem pole, so he knows where they're at and is able to contact them to get the supplies that he needs. But they never show you, ever, how he gets any of his guns and explosives. And the thing is, again, it's been a while since I watched it the first time, but the first time, I don't remember carrying, or at least I don't remember me carrying the first time. So maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but I remember the blood thing. I don't remember carrying about how he got the guns. So maybe now that I've told you about it, you're going to be wondering, but don't, because it doesn't matter. But overall, very fun movie. I very much enjoyed this Punisher. I love Thomas Jane, and I think you should watch this movie if you haven't, because I think it's a very well-made Punisher movie. So that's all I have for this one. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.